music.
There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
We won't be out long.
Take your time. Track's all yours.
You ready? The name on the middle of that steering wheel should tell you that I was born ready. Hit it. Attaboy.
Let me drive. I will make a fool out of you.
I got a message for all of them. Shake and bake.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind?
That just happened.
These cars, you sit in a box, a coffin, gasoline all around you. It isn't like it being inside a bomb.
It's tough enough being a girl on the track. Living in my dad's shadow doesn't help much.
You have to be kind to the car. You feel the poor thing groaning underneath you.
No race was ever won in the first corner.
I'm gonna give you an engine, low to the ground, extra big oil pan will cut the wind from underneath you. That'll give you 30 to 40 more horsepower.
Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
Brakes are warm. Tires are warm.
I'll work in the cars and I'll drive and I'll eat and sleep and I'll work in the cars and I'll drive.
Damn fast, and when he runs so close together, it requires fantastic concentration and rather special skills.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
If you're going to push a piece of machinery to the limit and expect it to hold together, you have to have some sense of where that limit is.
Besides, the best drivers don't dwell on the future or the past. The best drivers focus only on the present.
They could never have imagined it, those pioneers who invented the automobile, that it would possess us like this in our imaginations, our dreams.
I'm gonna give you a fuel line that will hold an extra gallon of gas. I'm gonna shave half an inch off you and shape you like a bullet.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
Racing is in my blood.
I was put on this earth to race cars.
I accept every time I get in my car. There's 20% chance I could die, and I can live with it, but not 1% more.
No, Nicky, don't bring the percentages into this. Don't be a pro. The minute you do that, you kill what's good about this. You kill the sport.
And at that speed, your reactions can barely keep up with these sudden changes in direction.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up?
You want me to work the pit and you drive? Fine, we'll try that.
The car's a living, breathing thing, and she's alive.
If any of us imagined, really imagined, what it would be like to go into a tree at 150 miles an hour, we would probably never get into the cars at all. None of us.
Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
I am just as good as anybody out there on that track, and I don't need anybody to win my races for me.
I wish my daddy were alive to see this, to feel this.
And when we get you primed, painted, and weighed, you'll be ready to go out on that racetrack. You hear me? You're gonna be perfect.
You don't understand what happens, do you? They make 10,000 cars, they make them exactly the same way, and one or two of them turn out to be something special. Nobody knows why.
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
So it has always seemed to me that to do something very dangerous requires a certain absence of imagination.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
Soon you will know what it is like to be defeated by the hands of somebody who is truly better than you.
The only thing to do here is to drive just as fast as you know how and hope your car doesn't break.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
If you ain't first, you're last. There's 40 other vultures out there who managed to finish the race on their tires. You see Darrell Waltrip using up his tires?
There's nothing I can't do with a race car.
Oh, hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? Come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
Sometimes you could swear the whole thing's falling to bits.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
On the other hand, I suppose potential problems are in the back of your mind all the time.
So in many ways, I feel responsible for what happened. And
You were, but trust me, watching you win those races while I was fighting for my life, you were equally responsible for getting me back in the car.
You're so lucky. You sit there all closed in by machinery and bolts, precise things. There's hardly any room for you. It must be a nice, safe feeling.
You gotta learn to trust something. Might just as well be the seat of your pants.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing is important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
Well, we can drive. We can drive beyond the limits of the tires, the engine, the car, anything else.
look out there is the perfect lap. No mistakes, every gear change, every corner, perfect. You see it.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Ask any racer, any real racer. It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
But it isn't just business, is it? What we do. It's passion, love, which is why we are prepared to risk our lives for it.
Racing. That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up or shut up.
Why does everybody keep telling me what my problem is?
That you get so emotional.
You would never, ever say that to a guy.
If you don't leave your feelings off the track, you're never going to get what you want.
I'm a race driver, and I can win it on my own!
Please let me race.
Fine. Then let's race.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and once again, welcome back to the Grand Prix World Series. We're getting towards the crunch point of the championship now, 3 rounds to go, starting off today in Curitiba in Brazil. And looking at the championship, heading into this one, still plenty to play for. Pascal Wehrlein of Fonmetal heading up the points to 159 points, 11 ahead of Tatiana Calderon in the Mascar Lola, while Marcus Ericsson still holding on there on 142 points in the second Fonmetal. Mick Schumacher and Brendan Hartley both still mathematically able to win this championship on 99 points each, but below the red line, Jack Aitken, Gary Paffett, Alexander Rossi, Kimi Sato and Lucas Di Grassi all still in the top 10, but unable to win the championship now. So we will look to see how well those top 5 get on in the remaining 3 races, and who is going to come out on top of this one is still incredibly competitive and incredibly close. And we still have no idea who is going to come out on top out of those 5 drivers. A quick look at the League 2 team standings as well. Fonmetal and Mascar Lola both already promoted, and both the only 2 teams who can still win the team's championship in League 2. 301 points for Fonmetal, 257 for Mascar Lola. Fonmetal looking the more likely at this moment in time, but a double DNF for Ewan Gale's team could change everything as Mascar Lola look to chase them down. Pacific Grand Prix in third at 123 points, still hanging on to that promotion spot at the moment, but with the likes of Ram Racing and Force India breathing down their legs, it's going to be an incredibly close affair towards the end of the season. Dome and Zaxpeed also looking to get that promotion as well. Scuderia Coloni falling away a little bit on 68 points, while LaRousse and Andrea Moda round out the top 10 in the standings there, and the likes of Carlin, Dams Viant and Rio will just be looking ahead to next season at this point. And before we take you through the grid heading into this one driver change of note to bring you, and that is at the Zaxpeed team. Oliver Rowland picked up a back of the grid penalty last time out in Buenos Aires, but Mike Smith has made the tactical decision to put him back into the reserve role and bring Lucas Di Grassi back into a race seat to try and maximise the team's chances of getting that promotion spot by not having to fight through from the back of the grid. It's a tactical move for Mike Smith, but Oliver Rowland still will have to serve that back of the grid penalty at the next race he competes in. And now we will look to the grid for today's League 2 Curitiba Grand Prix, and it is Pascal Wehrlein who has put his Fonmetal onto pole position by 0.3 of a second to Tatiana Calderon. Marcus Ericsson puts both Fonmetals in the top 3, while Mick Schumacher is there in 4th position, but half a second away from Wehrlein's benchmark there. Jack Aitken, 5th in the Force India, ahead of Kimi Sato in the Dome, one of Sato's best qualifying results for quite a long time now. Brendan Hartley, again, he's also done with his better qualifying performances there. He's tended to qualify quite low in this championship, but 7th place on the grid today means he could potentially fight for the podium later on in the race. Raffaele Marcello, 8th in the Force India, ahead of Sergio Sete Camara, who puts both Pacifics into the top 9. And Gary Paffett in the Ram rounds out the top 10. 11th place goes to Alexander Rossi in the LaRousse, ahead of Dan Ticktum, putting in one of Real's best qualifying performances of the season. A great job there by Ticktum. Takuma Sato, 13th in the Dome, ahead of Andre Lotterer, Mirko Bortolotti and Nelson Piquet Jr., the 2 Dams Viant drivers, in 15th and 16th. Callum Ilott, 17th in the LaRousse, ahead of Sam Bird in the Zaxpeed. Christian Lundgaard and Jaime Alguersuari share 19th and 20th together in the Scuderia Colonis. Alan McNish will go from 21st today ahead of the returning Lucas Di Grassi. A bit of a disappointing return to the series for him. Mike Conway will be 23rd in the second Real, ahead of the two Carlins of Luciano Becchetta and Fabio Lima, and Jake Dennis picking up a back of the grid penalty last time out in Buenos Aires. That is how the grid will line up for today's League 2 Curitiba Grand Prix. We're all excited to get this one underway and see who is going to put one hand on the championship trophy. And ready and waiting to take you through all the action, it's Tom Cairns.
Promotion to League 1 may already be sealed for MasterCard Lola and for Fomitel, but the race for the title in League 2 is still very much alive. We wait for the 5 red lights to come on and to go out, and we'll be racing in Curitiba for the first time. It's lights out, and away we go. Caruana got away better than Verline, and look at Ericsson who's coming through on the right, and he's into the lead before they get to the first turn, it looks like it, but Caruana is still in front, but not for long. Ericsson takes the lead ahead of the MasterCard Lola. Mick Schumacher is in 3rd place, Verline down to 4th from pole position, so not a good start there for Pascal Verline. He is down the order, not what he needed in the race for the League 2 driver's title. Ericsson leads then, Calderon 2nd, next Schumacher, Verline in the top 4. And we've got Brendan Hartley in the Pacific in 5th place, followed by Kamir Sato, Sergio Sete Camara, Jack Aiken, Rafael Marciello, and Takuma Sato running out the top 10. The drivers making their way through this Curitiba course, a new track for the Grand Prix World Series. And Ericsson determined to rebound after missing out on the race win last time out in Buenos Aires to Tatiana Calderon. And Fomitel looking favourites to take the team's championship. And we're looking at Verline there, trying to make a move on Mick Schumacher. It didn't look like he made it there into that fast hairpin before the pit straight. And he'll have to settle in behind for now, but he's going to make a move on Mick Schumacher as they come towards turn 1. It's a long pit straight this, so I expect to see plenty of overtaking going on through this section. Pascal Verline up the inside of Mick Schumacher. Has he made the move stick? The answer is yes. Verline ahead of his compatriot Mick Schumacher. He moves back up into 3rd position. There he is. There is Marcus Ericsson as we ride on board with him. It's a very fast flowing track as this Curitiba circuit closed only a couple of years ago, but it has been around for a long time, hosting the likes of Stock Car Brazil and many other local championships on this particular racetrack. It was meant to be hosting A1GP, the World Cup of Motorsport, as a round for its first season all the way back in 2006, but that never materialised as we watch Mick Schumacher running wide there on the exit of the left-hander, which is the 3rd to last corner of the lap. And we're watching the two Pacifics go into combat there, as Brendan Hartley got overtaken by Kamir Sato at the beginning of the lap. Has now got his teammate Sergio Sete Camara for company. And further up front, we just saw Pascal Verline go for a move on Tatiana Calderon, and we are watching the two Pacifics of Sete Camara and Hartley, who have got Jack Aiken waiting in the wings. Sete Camara up the inside of his teammate, and that's him through into 6th position. And for your information, Verline is back ahead of Tatiana Calderon into 2nd place. So it's a Fomitel 1 and 2 as we begin lap number 3 of this race. The League 2 race it is. The League 1 race will be coming up later on today. For your information, MasterCard Lola and Fomitel have already sealed promotion to League 1 with 3 races to spare. They are still battling it out for the League 2 Teams Championship title. And there is also one more promotion spot up for grabs, with the likes of Pacific forcing it as Jack Aiken goes off the track for a spin, whilst dicing with Brendan Hartley. And he's episode with too much work to do, but he's come out almost into the path of another car there. We need to see a replay of that. I think he's taken someone out as a result of it. We're right on board with Callum Ilott. And Jack Aiken came out into the path of Callum Ilott. And Ilott has crashed out of the race. Now, Jack Aiken will most certainly pick up a race ban and a disqualification for this race, because that was so dangerous the way he came back onto the circuit. He may not have made contact with him, but he forced Ilott off the track into retirement. And there's a problem for Ed Spencer right there. Team manager of the LaRue squad, Chris Hosey, won't be too pleased with this. He may be having words with Ed Spencer afterwards. Ilott is out of the race, and we await for confirmation of what the stewards verdict is going to be on that incident. And the answer should be pretty obvious, to be honest with you. And there we go. Jack Aiken disqualified from the race and a one-way span as Dan Titson goes off the circuit. Has been taken off by Sam Bird, who has lost his front wing. And we need to see a replay of that because that looks very clumsy from Sam Bird. He runs into the rear of his compatriot, Dan Titson. Oh, that's just pure stupidity there from Sam Bird. Just completely ran into him. And I think he's taken Dan Titson out, you know. Terminal damage to the rear. And could that mean a race ban also coming in the way of Sam Bird? Yeah, just ran into him. Bortolotti just couldn't slow down in time, unfortunately. Not his fault by any means. Or was that Nelson Piquet Jr., I wonder? Either way, Tixon is out of the race on the spot. And that's not going to please team manager Ed Hunter either. And I would expect Sam Bird to pick up the same punishment as what Jack Aiken has just picked up a moment ago. And there we go. It's a disqualification and a one-way span for Sam Bird, who'd only just come back in the last round in place of Lucas Di Grassi. Di Grassi is back in the car of what was Oliver Rowlands in the last race. And it looks like Oliver Rowlands is going to be back in Sam Bird's car next time out in San Carlos, Venezuela. So with Jack Aiken on the sidelines for the next race, these punishments are subject to appeal. But should Jack Aiken sit out the next round in San Carlos, it's likely going to be Jerome D'Ambrosio that fills in for him in San Carlos, as he was what is now Rafael Marciello's car he was in earlier in the season. But D'Ambrosio may well get another shot of it next time out in San Carlos. A quite dramatic start to the race here in Curitiba in Brazil. We're on lap 5. There's a long way to go yet in this one. I'll just remind you that the top 3 teams at the end of the season go up to League 1, 2 of which already filled by Formitel and Moscow Lola. But the battle for the final promotion spot is still up for grabs between Pacific, Force India, Ram, Dome and Zack Speed. Right on board with Calderon there, running in 3rd place. She ideally needs to get in front of the Formitels to realistically stay in the race for the title in League 2. As we watch Brendan Hartley and Rafael Marciello go into combat into the fast sweeping right-hander before the pit straight. And the move didn't quite come off there for Marciello. He may be back for more and have another go at it. Further back we see Luciano Becchetta lose a position there to one of the Rams. And that is Alan McNish, who hadn't had a good qualifying session, unfortunately. And he's found himself way down the order there, and that's very unlike Ram, who have been in red-hot form in recent races. And we go back to the leaders as Verline closes in on Ericsson. And looking at the championship going into this round in League 2, Verline came into this round 11 points clear over Calderon and 17 clear of Ericsson. If the positions are to remain as they are, with the pole position and fast lap points coming in the way of Pascal Verline, Verline will have his lead cut by Ericsson, but he will extend his margin over Calderon. As we watch Lucas Di Grassi, who's behind Fabio Lima in the battle for 22nd place. Further on we see Alan McNish go for a move on Becchetta into the right-hander, and he made the move stick. So McNish is through into 20th position. The next driver ahead of him is Jaime Alguersuari in the Coloni, both which he and his teammate Christian Lundgaard have been off the pace at this round too. There is Di Grassi trying to make up for lost time. Zack Speed have been off form at the moment at the wrong time in the season. Gary Puffer is running in 10th place. 1 championship point it would be for Ram, which is not ideal because both Pacifics are in the points. Sete Camera in 6th, Hartley in 8th. And one of the Force Indias is in the points too, which is Rafael Marciello. But now we're looking at the battle for the lead because Verline is right in Ericsson's wheel tracks here. And he's about to pull alongside. Here's the German on lap number 8. Pascal Verline up the inside of Marcus Ericsson. And a change of lead has come. Verline is ahead of his teammate and into the lead of the Lead 2 Curitiba Grand Prix. It's a Fonmetal 1 and 2, but the positions have been swapped. There's Takuma Sato, who's got the LaRousse of Alexander Rossi right behind, and the Ram of Gary Paffett in front. Now, Dome have been picking up points, although not as many as they desire. Need a real good haul of it today, if they are to remain in the hunt for promotion to League 1. After Curitiba, we go to San Carlos, Venezuela, and it's Laguna Seca, California, USA, the last round of the season. And after the championships finish, there is a non-championship round in Macau, which the Grand Prix World Series will contest for the first time. As we can see, Verline pulling away from Ericsson now. And Brendan Hartley's under threat from Andre Lotto, who's had a better time of it in this round so far. Andre may have turned up with a car that clearly can compete. And now we are seeing one of the Pacifics go for a move. That is Sergio Sette Camera on Kamir Sato on the pit straight. Up the inside goes the home hero. And Sette Camera is about to send his Brazilian fans into euphoria in a moment. And he has done now. He goes up into 5th place. Sette Camera, who's had 3 6th place finishes already this season, is into 5th place so far in this one. And we go back to Verline, who right on board is ran about a second clear over his Swedish teammate Marcus Ericsson. Verline, who had to wait a long time for his first Grand Prix World Series win. That came in Istanbul. He won his second race, the following one in Misano. The most recent one came in Valencia. His teammate Marcus Ericsson has also won 3 races this season. As we watch Rafael Marcello go for a move on Kamir Sato for 6th place. He's going to pull into the slipstream and have a go on the inside. And I think a change of lead is about to occur. And that is the Force India through up the inside. Marcello through into 6th place. And that's going to please Ed Spencer, given Jack Aiken has already been in the walls so far. He's currently in the top 15 is Jack. But whatever happens here, he will be disqualified from the race. And he'll be out the next one in San Carlos. It's not the first time Jack Aiken has picked up a race ban through dangerous driving. Saw it in Manly Cole last season when he took out Valentino Rossi. He had to serve a race ban that time. It's the same problem here. Conor Milot was just an innocent passenger on that occasion. There is Verline, who has started the 11th lap. Now, given it's a new circuit, I don't know for certain how much time you need for a pit stop. I can imagine it'd be at least 30 seconds or something like that. Given how fast flowing this circuit really is, you can gain so much time on fresh tyres. So pit strategy is going to be really crucial. Everyone running in 3rd place ahead of her teammate Mick Schumacher. Now, with the gap as it is in the Teams Championship, Fonmetal are 44 points clear over Mascot Layla, so whatever happens today, they cannot clinch the Teams Championship. But if they were to outscore Mascot Layla here today, they would put themselves in the hot seat to seal the League 2 Teams Championship next time out in San Carlos and do it with a race to spare. Since Kimi Sato won in Dome, only Von Mattel or Marco Lola have won. And now we see a move from Jack Aiken getting through on one of the Dam's Vion cars. That was Mirko Bortolotti got through, but Bortolotti isn't having any of it. And he's going to come back through on the inside, coming towards turn 1. And Bortolotti seems to be on the inside, and he'll go back in front of the Force India. Gary Puffer is out of the points at the moment in the Ram, and so is his teammate Alan McNish. As it stands with the positions as they are, Pacific will be picking up 12 championship points, which will move them on to 135. Ram aren't going to be scoring. Force India looks to be on course for 8 points, with Marcello in 6th. They'll go back ahead of Ram into 4th place. Dome with Takuma Sato in 10th, Amir Sato in 7th. And whilst I speak about that, one of the Andrea Modens is going to be pulling out of the race, and that's Jake Dennis. He was at the back anyway, and he nearly collected one of the Colonis. That would have been very, very dangerous there from Jake, but he's out of everyone's way, and he pulls off the circuit at the penultimate turn. He's the 3rd driver to retire. I was going back to Dome. They would collect 7 championship points with the positions as they are. And Dome will remain in 6th position. It will close in on Ram. And Saxby, with how their race is going so far, turning into an absolute nightmare of it. They're not going to be scoring. So Pacific are looking very good at the moment. If they can get both cars to the finish as they are, put them firm favourites to take that 3rd and final promotion spot into League One next season. I wonder how team manager Kevin McMullen would be celebrating. Surely a nice glass of champagne or something like that with someone. There's Calderon in 3rd place. We look to Marcello, who will be determined to get through on the Pacific of Sergio Sette Camera. He goes up to 5th place. Further behind, we just see Andre Lotto make a move on Kamir Sato, and he's through into 7th. This has been Lotto's best drive for a while. Probably his best drive since he finished on the podium in Zental. At the back of the field, Luciano Piquetta looks to make a move on Christian Lundgaard for 20th place. And the position is his on this occasion. There is Calderon, the hero of Argentina. One of the best comeback drives in the Grand Prix World Series. Could that be a sign of things to come in the season finale in Laguna Seca, should the Drivers' Championship go all the way to there? Pascal Wehrlein comes into the pits at the end of lap 14. So we expect him to go on a 2-stop strategy. Don't know how much time you need for a pit stop. There's another driver coming into the pits. I'll tell you in a moment who that is. It was behind Rossi though. It was Jack Aiken in the Force India. And I can tell you Wehrlein's coming back out now. And he should be in some clear air. He's behind Mike Conway. Now, Wehrlein was in the race lead by around about a second from Ericsson. And look at the margins in the first sector. I think you need about 35 seconds. Yeah, you need about 35 seconds, probably 36 for a pit stop, which would require you to do a lot of work if you're going to be doing a 2-stop. Now, what are the Mascot Lolas going to be doing? Well, they're remaining out there for now. Calderon ahead of Schumacher. And Schumacher is mathematically still in the hunt for the Drivers' Championship, but it's very slim now after his crash in Argentina that put him out. And now we're watching Verline, who's coming up behind Mike Conway. Lotterer comes into the pits for Andrea Moda. And we are seeing Rossi go for it on one of the domes, but he's had to tuck back in behind. The LaRose is not that fast in a straight line, you know. And Verline, who got through on Conway, is having to fight for it. And Conway lets him go through, because he knows he's not on the same strategy as he is. And it looks like Bortolotti in the Dams Viant is slowing down. And he is out of the race. His teammate Nelson Piquet Jr. goes through. And Bortolotti, who's been on a good run since he joined the Grand Prix World Series grid in Brands Hatch. It's sad to say he's not going to make it to the end, and the front right suspension has given way, which explains why he had slowed down. Bortolotti becomes the 4th driver to retire from the Lead 2 Curitiba Grand Prix. I wonder how many finishes we'll get at the end of this one. As we see Rossi trying to get through on Sato. He's having to pull out and tuck back in. And the LaRose is just not quick enough on the straight. As we see Calderon in 2nd position. I think Algas Suarez just moved in front of Conway for your information. To 13th. Verline is right behind Nelson Piquet Jr. He's got a bit of ground to make up in it at the moment. He's 1.5 seconds off. All that battling with Mike Conway cost Verline a bit of time. Now, is either Ericsson, Calderon or Schumacher heading to the pits? The answer is yes. It's Ericsson who's coming in from the race lead. Marscod Lola 1 and 2 now. Calderon ahead of Schumacher. Look at Jack Aiken, who, as it stands, will be disqualified from the race and serving a 1-race ban for taking out Callum Ilott. A couple more drivers heading to the pits. They are Takuma Sato and Alexander Rossi. That's Ericsson rejoining the race. He's behind Verline. Verline's, well, I'll say he's quite a bit ahead of him. He's not too far in front of him. But Ericsson will be on fresher tyres than him. That will give him a little bit of an advantage to close up. There's the Carlin. What looks like Fabio Lima getting through on Christian Lingard. Now we look at Rafael Marcello in 3rd position. Hasn't made a pit stop yet. We don't know for certain whether he's doing a 2-stop or the 1. And Sam Bird coming into the pits for the 2nd time. It's his first scheduled stop of the race. And Rafael Marcello is also coming in. Now we go back to Mick Schumacher in 2nd position. He's impressed in the Grand Prix World Series since he had arrived in Kyalami. He's won a couple of races in Dijon, Bourgogne and in Hockenheim. And we're looking at Alan McNish, who's just about to be lapped by one of the Mastercard Lolas. That has to be Tatiana Calderon trying to get through. McNish is not making it easy for her. Now the Ram needs to move out the way. Isn't doing so just yet. And Schumacher will be closing in all the time, and Calderon struggling to get through on McNish, and McNish is not making it easy for her. That looks really dangerous from McNish. We're right on board with Calderon to see from Calderon's perspective on what had happened on the exit of the last turn, and you can just see there from McNish, he totally held up Calderon up there, and I wonder if the stewards may impose a penalty on him there, because that looked like he impeded the race leader. Nothing as of yet. So it's as you were. Calderon will not be pleased about that. Her teammate Mick Schumacher's come into the pits from second place. Calderon finally threw on McNish, but that took too long for the move to be done. As Gary Paffett comes in for Ram. As we see Marcus Ericsson lapping Sam Bird. So Ericsson closing in on Verline for what will be the net race lead. Here's Kimi Sato running in a strong second place, not too far behind him. Brendan Hartley, I should say. Sergio Sette Camera has already pitted. Kimi Sato and Brendan Hartley have not. And there is Conway, who's going to make a move on the sack speed of what looks like Lucas Di Grassi. He's through on the inside and no problem there. Here is Sato. Kimia crossing over the line, not coming into the pits yet. I think by now he would have come into the pits if he was to do a two-stop, so I'd assume he's going to be doing the one. Now, if he can remain ahead of the Fonmatels, that could potentially bring Sato and Hartley into play for a podium at least. Now, Schumacher's come in for the first of two pit stops. Calderon has remained out there, and it looks like she's going to be doing the one. And if that's the case, then Verline and Ericsson need to pass the Pacific of Brendan Hartley and the Dome of Kimi Sato. They're too far away from them from making a move just yet. As we see Christian Lundgaard, who is up in 8th place before he's just been overtaken by Rafael Marciello. So that could maybe explain Coloni's pace so far in this. There's Brendan Hartley, his best race in a while. A strong start to the season with the race win in Sepang. He hasn't finished on the podium since round 5 in Kyalami. There's Calderon in the race lead. 3 times a race winner this season. See Marcello making a move on Piquetto, and there's no contest there. And a much quicker car on fresh tyres. There is Kimi Sato still carrying on his way. Oh, there's contact there between Calderon and Di Grassi. We'll get a replay of it, but Calderon was very lucky that her front wing was not taken off by the sack speed ahead. That's the second time she came close to an enormous accident. Now, is there going to be a punishment coming Di Grassi's way, I wonder, or will that go down as a racing incident? No further action is going to be taken. Although Calderon will be unhappy with that. As McNish gets through on Di Grassi. Outside the top 15, those two. At least that will give Pascal Verline and Marcus Ericsson a little bit more encouragement. Now, for your information, in terms of where Kimi Sato and Brendan Hartley have started the race, they qualified very well, those two. Kimi Sato qualified 6th and Brendan Hartley in 7th. Now, Kimi Sato hasn't finished on the podium since he had won in Fuji on home turf. That's literally his only podium in his career so far. He'll want to add another and give Dome a chance in catching Pacific in the race for promotion. His teammate Kimi Sato has already pitted. Pascal Wehrlein, for your information, holds the fastest up of the race. It's a potential championship point coming his way, along with the point for pole position. And Wehrlein is running about 2.6 seconds behind Hartley, so not quite close enough to have a go yet. As Sete Camera goes for a spin off the circuit. Now, does he rejoin safely? Because Jack Aiken didn't do so earlier on in the race. But it looks like Sete Camera will get back on the circuit fine. It's cost him time, though. He's back on the track in 12th position. Going back to the gap between Hartley and Wehrlein, it's less than 2 seconds now. Hartley will know that Wehrlein is in a quicker car and on fresher tyres. The managers do have an upgrade window every 3 races. The next time the upgrade window will open will be after San Carlos, to give the managers one last chance to improve their cars in terms of their brake horsepower or reliability before the season finale at Laguna Seca. Well, lap 25 of the race in Curitiba's first ever Grand Prix World Series race. It's put on quite a show so far. Calderon still going on in the lead. She'll just not want any more back markers now before she comes in for what is expected to be her only stop of the race. Moscow came into this round 44 points behind Von Mattel. They could do with both cars getting to the end and outscoring their Italian rivals. And Wehrlein's right up behind Hartley now. It was the second in the last sector. It's now down to less than 6/10. Calderon comes in from the race lead then. This is expected to be her only stop. And unless we see Sato and Hartley going to the pits, they will take over the lead. In fact, Sato's coming in. And what about Brendan Hartley? He's staying out there, albeit he's got the Von Mattel of Wehrlein coming up behind. And I think Wehrlein's going to take over the lead of the race once more. Wehrlein through ahead of Hartley. And Hartley didn't have anything to respond to that. Now Ericsson will want to get through rather quickly as well. So they come through turn 4. And through another right-hander of 5. And then turn number 6 that they're about to head through. Now, is Ericsson going to go for a move into this fast left-hander? He is, providing they don't make contact. In fact, Ericsson runs wide and he loses time. Now, did Hartley cut across on Ericsson there? Didn't look like he did. I don't think Hartley did anything wrong, in all honesty. It was too ambitious of a manoeuvre there from Ericsson to make a move up the inside. And no action will be taken on that. Now, what about Brendan Hartley? Is he going to come into the pits at the end of this lap? No, he's remaining out there for now. Camille Sato rejoining 12th place for your information. Calderon is up there in 5th. Schumacher is ahead of her and he stops, but he's expected to make another stop before this race is over. As we see the Andro Moda and the Force India go almost side by side into that fast sweeping hairpin there, which is reminiscent of the Estoril hairpin. And it's a three-way scrap between Lotterer, Aiken and Lundgaard, and Lotterer on the fresh tyres is through on Lundgaard. Lotterer having a good race so far. His teammate Jake Dennis already out with mechanical gremlins. And Ericsson will be right up behind the Pacific of Brendan Hartley in a moment. I don't think there's any form of contest on this occasion. And Ericsson will be through on Hartley, no problem, unless Hartley can get back into the slipstream and get back through. But I think the move is done. Ericsson up the inside of Brendan Hartley. It's now a Fonmetal 1 and 2 as it was earlier on in the race. And there is Verline aiming for win number 4 and extend his lead at the top of the Drivers' Championship. Piquetta comes into the pits for Carlin. There's Hartley behind the two Fonmetals now, but this has been a strong drive from Hartley so far. He's yet to stop in this race. Coming towards the end of lap 28, we're into the beginning of the second half, so I would say Hartley will be heading into the pits either at the end of this lap or the end of the next one. He's coming in at the end of this lap. About 3.5 laps of fuel left in there. He could have carried on if he wanted to, but he feels the time is right to head in now. Now he'll be behind Calderon. He should come out. He'll probably come out behind his teammate Sergio Sette Camera. Verline carrying on. He'll be coming up behind back markers sooner rather than later. Mick Schumacher coming up to lap what is the exact speed of Sam Bird. Just to remind you, he'll be disqualified from this race and serving a 1 race ban for taking out Dan Tickton on lap 2. There's McNish, and is that Piquetta who's just pitted? Tussling with him there. It looks like it, didn't it? And there is Ericsson trying to close in on his teammate Pascal Verline to reduce the arrears in the championship. There is Piquetta through on McNish. Mick Schumacher back into 3rd place, but he's got his teammate Sasson Calderon closing in. We're about 2.3 seconds off him now. It won't be too long, I don't think, before we start seeing the second round of pit stops. So Calderon's got to hope that Schumacher doesn't hold her up for too long. There's Verline, and there's a car behind him who's just pitted. I think it's one of the Colonis, who is going at some pace. So it's pulling away from Marcus Ericsson, believe it or not. There's Calderon trying to lap Sam Bird. Bird has already been in the wars today, but thankfully he doesn't hold Calderon up for too long. Lundgaard is lapped, as is Sam Bird. Marcello running in 5th place ahead of Lotterer. We expect those two to be in the pits again before this race is over. For your information about next season, the Season 4 calendar has undergone a change for its American round. It was going to go to Barber, but now it's heading to the more famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which should be epic. There will be 16 races again next season, 16 rounds I should say. There's no confirmation as to who will be heading down to lead 2 yet, but more on that later. Ericsson 2 seconds behind Verline. He's closing in as Verline is trying to get through back markers at the moment, as is Ericsson, to be fair. McNish moves out of the way, although it looks like he held Verline up too much. I think that's the danger on a shorter circuit to others, is that you're bound to catch up to back markers. And we can see a move from one of the Dams Viant cars. That is Nelson Piquet Jr. on Takuma Sato. Piquet Jr. through on the inside. And he's through ahead of the Japanese. We just saw Ericsson make a move on the ramp to put a lap on him. And now we see Christian Lundgaard, who has pitted not too long ago, making a move on the ramp. And he's going to be through into 20th place. Verline's gap to Ericsson's come down to 1.1 seconds. Ericsson closing down the gap all the time. And Marcello comes in for his second stop of the race in the Force India. He'll drop down the order quite considerably, given how close the cars are. This is a race where Force India cannot really afford to mess up here. They need to close down the gap to Pacific for that final promotion spot to League One. Given how tough it was last season for Ed Spencer. His debut Grand Prix World Series season as a manager, will be gunning to follow Ewan Gale and Marcus Johansson up the ladder to League One for Season 4. Luciano Becchetta going side by side with Fabio Lima on the pit straight as the two Fomitars close in to lap them. There's Schumacher trying to close in, can't do anything really. And now Verline's been held up, and that's going to allow Ericsson to close in now. There is Lima staying out of the way, or at least he tries to. Ericsson gets through. That's going to give Schumacher a little bit more encouragement as he starts closing in. As we see Takuma Sato moving ahead of the Andrea Moda of Andre Lotterer. And that's him through into 5th position before they get to the turn. Takuma Sato having a brilliant race so far. His best for a long time. And Schumacher, saw Calderon in the background there. She does not need to push too hard, too soon. She knows that the Fomitars are due into the pits again, as is Schumacher. Being lapped by the leader. She'll need to let Ericsson through in due course as well. And then we see Sete Camera, who has already had a spin at the corner which he's just going through. Now he's got Brendan Hartley right behind. Does he hold him up or does he let him go? They are on different strategies, those two. And Ericsson gets through on Becchetta. And Bird into the pits for the 3rd time. He'll hardly have anyone to fight with once he comes back out. He'll want this race to be over. So Jack Aiken is into the pits, as well as Sete Camera. Alguersuari also in for Coloni. There is Schumacher, there is Calderon. This is Takuma Sato continuing to push hard. Verline comes into the pits for his 2nd stop of the race. And Schumacher is in at the same time. There is Kamir Sato. Does he go ahead of them into third place? If he does, Verline and Schumacher are going to have any chance of winning this race. They'll need to pass Sato on circuit. Sato is coming down the pit straight now. But it looks like Verline's getting out in front of Sato. And Verline won't need to worry about the Japanese, but I think Schumacher will need to pass him. We see another driver ducking into the pits. There's Sam Bird just unlapping one of the Rams on the fresh pair of boots. Well, I said a fresh pair of boots. On his fresh set of boots. That's probably the terminology I was after. Mike Conway coming in for Real. They're chasing another points finish today. It's looking unlikely that they will. And there we see Sete Camera, who has just pitted, getting through on what looks like Alan McNish. That's good enough to move up into 15th on circuit. As we watch Andre Lotterer hold up Brendan Hartley now. Not too far behind them will be Mick Schumacher, who's just pitted. There is Calderon. She's made her one and only stop. She'll be waiting for Ericsson to come in. Calderon now 27 seconds clear, or just under that, ahead of Verline. Looking very good for her second win in a row, her 4th of the season. As Aiken nearly taking out the Ram of Alan McNish. He's already been in trouble today, won't want to get another race ban coming his way. If he does so, he'll miss the remainder of the season. We've got 2 rounds to go after this of Curitiba, as Ericsson comes into the pits for Fonmetal. And in terms of the battle between him and Verline, that is what we need to keep an eye on. Verline getting through on Lima. Trying to get through on Lundgaard at the same time, but he couldn't do it. So come out of the hairpin. And bad news for the Dome team. Kamir Sato is coming to a slowdown. And could that end their chances of promotion for another season? What a shame for team manager David Young. Sato, who was running so well, in contention for a podium finish, disappearing. No words are needed to describe how detrimental that is for the Japanese squad. It's good news for Pacific, Force India and for Ram. And Hartley's race is going better and better by the minute. His best hope is 5th place as Sete Camera gets back into the points now. He's in 8th. And now we are seeing Tatiana Calderon trying to make her way through the back markers. There is Jack Aiken in front, who's tussling with Andre Lotterer. Now there's 16 laps to go, and Verline really needs to cut down the gap by at least 1.5 seconds. The only problem for Verline has got Ericsson chasing him down as well. As it stands with the positions as they are, Calderon will close down the gap to Verline in the Drivers' Championship. It'll come down to just 6 points between the two. And Ericsson will lose ground in the race. He will be 22 points behind with 2 races left. And points running out for this season. A lot can still change in the final 15 laps of the League 2 Curitiba Grand Prix. And we saw Andre Lotterer making a move on Lundgaard. Lotterer having a brilliant race so far of what's been a tough season for Andrea Moda, who have undergone a few managerial changes. Lucy Paula-Wood was team manager of the squad at the beginning of the season before Danila Savinov temporarily took charge for a round. And now it's in the hands of the former boss of the Dance Violence squad, Jake Sanson. Verline's got the gap down to 22.3 seconds in the last sector. It's now down to 21.9. He's definitely closing down the gap. Is he closing it down enough? As Aiken is now holding up Calderon. This is not helping Calderon's race at all. She gets through on him before the last turn. The last thing that Aiken wants to be doing is taking out another driver. And that's him out for the remainder of the season. Now the Soiree backing him with what looks like Alan McNish. Or is that Gary Paffett, I wonder? We'll find out in a moment. Side by side on the pit straight they go. And it could well be Gary Paffett, because I think McNish is further down the order. It is Gary Paffett. He gets through on the inside, and that's him through into 15th. One driver I'll give hats off to is Luciano Picatta, who's running in a fine 7th position in a Carlin that has been well and truly off the pace in the last half a dozen races or so. Carlin, who've without a point for the last 6 rounds. Well, I'll say about Carlin, they're not going to be getting points through Fabio Lima because he's pulling off with an issue at turn 2, and he is out of the lead to Curitiba Grand Prix, and it's a gearbox issue for the Swiss. Team manager Perry Brown will be preparing for season 4. He won't know who his drivers will be yet. He doesn't have the choice as to who he can keep hold of, because there is this draft system. That is what is going to determine. As we see Calderon getting through there on the Coloni of Christian Lundgaard. It almost looked like she was about to overtake under yellows there, but I think she got the move completed before she would have gone through the yellow zone, but I think the yellow flags had gone away by that point. I can tell you the gap is now down to 17.4 seconds between Calderon and Verline, but Calderon had to get through some bat markers, so I'd expect the gap to be down even more once Verline goes through the sector. The gap is 17.2. Bearing in mind, oh, we've just seen Lotterer go for a spin off the circuit. Now, does he rejoin safely and not taking out another driver? Just about there. Very lucky he had that amount of space, but he's bunched up the field, almost taking out the race leader for that matter. Now we've got a 5-car battle for 9th now. The minor points paying positions. Lotterer, Lundgaard, Rossi, Pico Jr. and Aiken, who's going to be excluded from this race anyway. But there is Lundgaard up the inside in the Coloni. And Lotterer, off that spin, has cost him time. Piquetta's lost a position to Sete Camera. He's down to 8th position. Still a good effort though from... Oh, just seen a change for position there. It looks like Ericsson got through on Verline. Verline didn't really fight it that much by the looks of it. Ericsson through on the inside. And clearly there's a team game going on between Ewan Gale's drivers. Ericsson through into 2nd place. Can he catch race leader Tatiana Calderon before this race is over? 12 laps to go. The gap is 15 seconds. And there's like at least 7 back markers, of which the Fonmatels will have to get through before they get anywhere near the driver who's about to take her 4th win of the season. Here's Lotterer trying to fight back on Lundgaard. Didn't come off in the end. And Kim Asato's waiting in the wings, as is Gary Paffett. Points are very much up for grabs. There's lots of a back through on Lundgaard, as is Rossi on Piquet Jr. Amazing squabble. Go back on board with Ericsson's got the gap down to 14.4 seconds with 11 laps remaining. He needs to take a good 1.5 seconds out of the margin, I would have thought, to get anywhere close to Calderon. Verline keeping it up with him to give himself a chance of it as well. Mick Schumacher on his own in 4th position. But at least it'll help Marc Leclerc in the team's championship somewhat. But as it stands, Von Mattel will be coming away with 35 championship points. Marc Leclerc will be coming away with 37. Marc Leclerc only closing down the gap by a couple of points. We want one of the Von Mattels to fall into trouble. There's not a long time left in the race now. Time to go. Aiken getting through on Piquet Jr. for 12th place on circuit. And there is Ericsson ahead of Verline. And we see Rossi and Aiken tussling it for 11th place. Go back to Verline, who's in 3rd position. With Ericsson through ahead of him. Ericsson will be closing down the gap by a point on Verline. It was 17 between the two going into today. We'll go down to 16. And Verline's gap over Calderon will be coming down even more. Now he's lost the position. Collecting 17 points while Calderon will be getting 25. The gap will be down to just 3 points going to the penultimate round of the season in San Carlos. Nine laps remaining in this race. Lundgaard's just lost 10th place to Alexander Rossi. Calderon getting through on Luciano Becchetta to lap. Becchetta has had a really good race, his best one in a while. Carlin, we're in a minor squabble with Dams Vaillant for 11th place in the team's championship in League 2. Six drivers out of this race so far. Fabio Lima, Kamiya Sato, Nelson Piquet, and we see Jack Aiken go off again. Now, does he rejoin safely this time? He does rejoin safely, and thank goodness for that. Now, does he get forced off the circuit, or did he just go for a move that... or go for a gap that wasn't quite there? Might get another replay of it, but either way, Aiken is back on track safely. Paffett now is about to be lapped by the leaders in a moment, although he's in a squabble with Takuma Sato and Nelson Piquet Jr. You can just see Marcus Harrison getting through a back marker in the background. There's Ericsson. The gap between him and Calderon is 11.7 seconds and only 8 laps to go. He's only taken like a second out of the margin every lap, which is not enough. Verline keeping himself in there. Looks like Von Mattel and Moscovelo are going to be occupying the top 4 finishing positions. And we'll continue that run of consecutive wins between the two teams since Kamiya Sato won for Dome in Fuji in round 4, which means it'll be 10 rounds in a row that the League 2 race will be won by either Marc Leclerc or Von Mattel. comes Takuma Sato behind Christian Lundgaard. And just behind them is Gary Paffett going for it on PK Jr. I think Mike Conway has just been lapped by Ericsson. I think he got back through on the inside. He did so. And Ericsson won't be very happy with this. And in fact, we're just looking at a replay now. Conway unlapped himself from Ericsson, which he is allowed to do. And then he held Ericsson up. Verline nearly got ahead. Verline gets through on Conway, no problem. There's a move there from Alguersuari on Conway. He's taking advantage of the open door as the Spaniard. He's been off the pace in this one. And there's Schumacher getting through. What looks like Sam Bird, of which he's lapping there. It might be Lucas Di Grassi though. They're outside the top 15, those two drivers anyway. To remind you, Jack Aiken and Sam Bird will be disqualified from this race for taking out drivers at the beginning, which will put them both out of the next round in San Carlos, Venezuela. You see PK Jr. being lapped by Ericsson. It won't be too long before Verline gets through as well. You can see the field just bunching up behind Ericsson, trying to get through, as is Verline. Both getting through on back markers. And that's the trouble. Lundgaard in 13th place. Conway back ahead of Alguersuari into 15th. And there is Calderon. Coming up behind Sergio Sette Camera, who should be the last driver of which she'll be lapping between now and the end of the race. There's Ericsson getting through on Paffett to lap. It's too long before Verline follows suit. Well, Verline's quite some way back still at the moment. 5 laps remaining then. It looks like Calderon's got this race sewn up unless she makes a mistake somewhere or falls into any mechanical trouble. Still like another 4 cars of which the Formitels need to lap before they get anywhere near Calderon. And there's an engine problem for Luciano Becchetta from 8th place! Disaster for team manager Perry Brown! His best race for a while, but Becchetta is going to be retiring from it. What a shame! It's been a very, very unlucky season for him. He's trying to get to the end. He won't make it to the end. Luciano Becchetta retires. That promotes Andre Lotter up to 8th, Alexander Rossi to 9th, and Takuma Sato into 10th. No, he just needs to be careful. He doesn't cause an obstacle course for the drivers behind. And he nearly took out the Coloni of Alguersuari as he pulls off at turn 1. And he joins his teammate on the sidelines. And neither of the Carlins are going to make it. Are going to be making it to the checkered flag. Now, for your information, Brendan Hartley 5th and Sergio Sette Camera in 7th. That will give them 16 championship points. Rafael Marcello will be collecting 8 for Force India. Takuma Sato will be collecting 1 for Dome. Ram, as it stands, are not going to be scoring, and neither are Zach Speed. As far as the team's championship is concerned, Pacific will be extending their margin, with Force India moving back into 4th place ahead of Ram. Force India will go on to 113 points. Pacific will be on 141. They will have a handsome 28-point lead with 2 rounds to go. It's been Pacific's best race for a long time. They will not want to be hitting any trouble now. Conway getting through on PK Jr. for 12th place. He's angling for a point for the Real team, who've been on a reasonable run of form recently. They'll want to end their season in a flourish. It's likely they'll finish bottom of the team's championship in League 2, but Ed Hunter will be looking on for next season in terms of how his team can improve. Calderon laps Sergio Sette Camara. Now, Sette Camara, as I've already mentioned, has finished 6th on 3 occasions. In fact, 6th is the only position he has scored points in this season. Alexander Rossi being lapped by the Fonmetal of Marcus Ericsson, who's in 2nd place ahead of Pascal Wehrlein. Calderon is on her penultimate lap and looking good for win number 4. Close in to within 3 points of Pascal Wehrlein in the League 2 Drivers' Championship. She should not have any more back markers to navigate through now. But she made the strategy work once again. As she did in Buenos Aires, as she did in Pinonia, as she did in Yongam. Her fairy tale season is about to continue. It's likely that the League 2 Drivers' Championship will go all the way to Laguna Seca. Just saw Ericsson put a lap on Lotterer, although Lotterer was trying to unlap himself from the Fonmetal. Lotterer up the inside. And he's back through again, and there's a yellow flag. Oh, is that Keltner? It is! And she's out! On the last lap, Tatiana Calderon's retired! A mechanical problem has forced the Moscow Lola off the racetrack! What an unbelievable development! Tatiana Calderon, who made the strategy work, retires with mechanical problems on the last lap, and Fonmetal are about to take an unlikely victory. This is heart-wrenching for team manager Marcus Johansson, but for Ewan Gale, they're about to celebrate a 1-2 finish, Calderon retiring on the last lap. But here's Marcus Ericsson, who inherits the race lead and is about to take his 4th win of the season and close down the gap to Pascal Wehrlein in the driver's title race. Marcus Ericsson wins the League 2 Curitiba Grand Prix, with Pascal Wehrlein in 2nd place and Fonmetal edge ever closer to sealing the League 2 Teams Championship. Mick Schumacher brings a consolation podium for Mascot Lola. Tatiana Calderon, by retiring on the last lap, does in fact get some points. She comes home in 7th. She's classified 7th. And Andre Lotterer came into the pits with a problem and falls out of the points. Rafael Marcello comes home in 5th place behind Brendan Hartley in 4th, and Sergio Sette Camara is going to pick up his 4th 6th place finish of the season to push Pacific closer to promotion to League One. But here is your race winner. It is Marcus Ericsson for Fonmetal in Curitiba. Pascal Wehrlein second to round off a Fonmetal 1 and 2. Mick Schumacher in third. Brendan Hartley in fourth place at a Rafael Marcello and Sergio Sette Camera. Tatiana Calderon, retiring on the last lap from the race lead, is classified in 7th. Alexander Rossi 8th for La Rose ahead of Takuma Sato in 9th for Dome. And Gary Paffett for Ram picking up the final point. Mike Conway in 11th for Real ahead of Christian Lundgaard and Nelson Piquet Jr. Jaime Alguersuari was 14th ahead of Lucas Di Grassi. Alan McNish, Andre Lotterer, who stopped in the pits at the end of his penultimate lap, is 17th. Luciano Becazza is classified in 18th position. Fabio Lima retiring with gearbox issues. Kimi Sato also out with a puncture. Mirko Bortotti, Jake Dennis, Dan Tittum and Callum Ilott, who were lost in the opening laps. Sam Bird and Jack Aiken, who caused those collisions with them, are disqualified from the race and will both serve a race ban next time out in San Carlos, Venezuela. Pascal Wehrlein got the point for pole position. The point for fast lap also went to Pascal Wehrlein. Well, after what was a heroic drive in Argentina, Tatiana Calderon must have thought she had a chance in the championship going into this round and coming round about 4 kilometres away from sealing back-to-back wins. But mechanical gremlins have seen her stop at turn 2. And even for myself, I cannot help but feel sorry for her and for team manager Marcus Johansson. That changes things in the League 2 Drivers' Championship. Fonmetal are very close to sealing the team's championship for League 2. And it's time for Topher Smith to run down on the championship standings. And we'll be back for the League 1 race very, very shortly.
Wow, incredible drama there in the League 2 Curitiba Grand Prix. Tatiana Calderon having the win snatched away from her right to the death by an issue there with the NASCAR Lola car. She will be inconsolable after that, but at least she does take home 7th place and does pick up some points towards her championship. But I can feel that Tatiana, as well as team manager Marcus Johansson, will be very disappointed with that outcome. The win goes to Marcus Ericsson, and what has that done to the driver's standings? Well, Pascal Wehrlein still heads up the driver's standings in League 2, 179 points for the German, with Marcus Ericsson's victory today moving him into second ahead of Calderon, 167 to Calderon's 154, with Mick Schumacher and Brendan Hartley now mathematically out of contention for the championship. So I'm sure that in the last 2 rounds in San Carlos and Laguna Seca, Mick Schumacher will be doing everything he can to help out Calderon, as well as trying to secure the title for NASCAR Lola. And what has that done to the team standings? Well, Fonmetal still leads the way on 346 points. NASCAR Lola on 278. It's not mathematically done yet, but San Carlos might be the crowning circuit for the Fonmetal team should results go their way. Pacific Grand Prix still heads the way in the race for the final promotion spot on 143 points. Force India on 115, Ram on 112 and Dome on 101. It looks like it's likely to be any of those 4 teams now. Zaxpeed, I think, falling a bit too far away now, and they will look ahead to Season 4 to try and have more of a push at the title. And after that drama-filled race, we now look ahead to the League 1 event, and Scott Dixon is leading the way still in the driver standings, 151 points for the reigning champion. But Antonio Felix da Costa, after picking up his 3rd win in a row last time out in Buenos Aires, has moved into second on 134, and he is chasing down Dixon hard to win this championship. Nick de Vries still there in 3rd place, hanging on to Dixon and Acosta at the moment, and he will want to get back to winning ways here today. Pato Ward 4th in the Arrows on 95, ahead of Will Power and Kamui Kobayashi, the top 6, the only ones who can still mathematically win the championship. And Sebastian Buemi, Roman Grosjean, Alex Lynn and Jose Maria Lopez round out the top 10, but they will be looking to get as many points as they can for their teams to help them in the team's championship, where Minardi lead the way on 253 ahead of Simtek on 197. Leighton House is on 188, 1 point ahead of Manor on 187. and Arrows on 144, the top 5 there, the only ones who can still win the championship. HRT's on 92 ahead of Super Aguri. The outgoing team's champion is on 84 points at the moment. Prost on 64, Onyx Grand Prix on 55, and BAR on 32. That is your top 10. And then at risk of relegation down into League 2 for next season, AGS, Midland, and 40 Corsi. I think those 3 teams are going to need a mega result if they're going to drag themselves into the top 10 and out of that relegation zone. And just the one driver change to make note of ahead of today's League 1 race. Paul di Resta, last time out, picked up a 2-race ban, so he will be returning at the Laguna Seca Grand Prix, the season finale. And in his place at the Super Aguri team will be Oliver Behrman, making his second appearance this season after Paul di Resta picked up a race ban earlier on in the season. Mike Gillespie, none too happy about Paul di Resta's performances this season, and has already stated quite firmly, actually, that di Resta will not be part of the Super Aguri team next season. So di Resta potentially looking for a drive for season 4 there. But as far as the grid is concerned for today's race, Jose Maria Lopez has made it 2 pole positions in a row. The Argentine puts the Manor onto pole position, but Lopez still searching for that elusive first Grand Prix World Series victory. Will today be the day that he finally gets it done? Pato O'Ward putting in a great performance to put the Arrows second on the grid. Only 28 thousandths of a second behind Lopez, who was very close in qualifying. And our championship leader, Scott Dixon, also within a tenth of Lopez's time. It was such a close qualifying, this one, and it should bode well for the race today. Danny Unkadea put both Arrows in the top 4 ahead of Nick de Vries and Emnardi. Jean-Eric Verne doing a good job in the Prost to go 6th ahead of Kamui Kobayashi and Antonio Felix da Costa. Da Costa having a bit of an uphill battle today if he is to get his 4th victory in a row. Marco Wittmann and Nick Yellerly rounding out the top 10 on the grid today. Luke Browning in the second Simtek will go from 11th ahead of Sebastian Buemi in the lead Leighton House. Robin Frines 13th in the Super Aguri ahead of the second Leighton House of Will Power. Alex Lynn and Nicholas Latifi are 15th and 16th ahead of the 2 Onyx Grand Prix of Antonio Fuoco and Sebastian Bourdais. Louis Delatraz in his second start in the Grand Prix World Series will be 19th ahead of Sean Galale 20th in the BAR. And nearer the back of the grid, Naoki Yamamoto 21st in the Midlands, another driver that has potentially lost his seat for next season. Alex Johnston not happy with the performances of the Japanese, and he has also said that he is not intending to keep him in season 4. Alex Palou 22nd in the AGS ahead of Roy Nassani in the 40 Corsi. Felipe Nasr 24th in the Midland ahead of Colton Herter and our substitute driver Oliver Behrman in the Super Aguri. It's a fantastic grid for you in the League 1 race, very competitive, and we should see plenty of action. Ready and waiting to call that action is back down to Tom Cairns.
Lopez on pole for the second race in a row. Can he convert it into victory this time? How will Dixon and Da Costa get on in the race for the driver's title? The 5 red lights are coming on. When they go out, we'll be racing for one last time in Curitiba, Brazil. Lights out and away we go. A tremendous start from Jose Maria Lopez. Blasted off the line. He's like a missile launching off. He leads ahead of Pato O'Ward as they come towards the first corner of this Curitiba racetrack. As we see the Minardi making contact there with the Arrows. It looks like O'Ward is out already. He is. So as they come towards turn 1, it looks like the Minardi of Nick de Vries was on the inside as they came towards the first turn. He got ahead of Unkadea, came too close to Pato O'Ward. He took the wheel off Pato O'Ward's car, and O'Ward, for the second race in a row, is out. So de Vries getting off to a brilliant start from 5th place on the grid, moving in front of Unkadea and Dixon. An ambitious manoeuvre into turn 1. Oh, it's a bit 6 in one and a half, a dozen the other, but normally in that situation, the driver who took out the man who's retired will be the one picking up the punishment. O'Ward is out, not for the first time this season after a first lap crash. He did it in Panonia before turn 1. And we'll wait to see what the stewards say on that incident. Will it go down as a race ban and disqualification for Nick de Vries? It is! So Nick de Vries is not only out of this race, but he's also out of the next one in San Carlos, Venezuela. A turn in the title race. Now, De Vries, who's in 3rd place, will be excluded from this one. It is subject to appeal, so team manager Giacomo Pagliaro will have the right to appeal that. But as it stands, De Vries is out of this race and also out of the next one in San Carlos. But he'll carry on as he is for now in case the punishment gets overturned. As we watch Da Costa go for it on Kobayashi. He only qualified 8th, Da Costa, but he's making his way through the field. He's up into 4th place now behind his teammate Nick De Vries, who had been overtaken by Junkendaya as a consequence of that first lap crash with O'Ward. Jean-Eric Verne up into 7th place in the Prost. Now remember, Jean-Eric Verne is the reserve driver for Minardi, so should De Vries' punishment stand, then it's expected that Verne will be in the Minardi in place of De Vries, which will leave Prost having to field another driver for the next race in San Carlos. And there is Lopez in 2nd place, or in the race lead I should say. It's Junkendaya who's in 2nd position, whilst we look at Dixon, who goes into this round with a 17-point lead in the title battle. The good news is that Da Costa did not get pole position. I suppose further good news is that De Vries will be disqualified from this race as it stands. So it's not too bad of a start for Dixon, but with the positions as they are, Da Costa will still close down the gap in the title race. But Dixon is on a move as he gets through on the manner of Kamui Kobayashi, and he's through into 5th place behind title rival Antonio Felix Da Costa. Now Lopez in the race lead. Ahead of Junkendaya, there is De Vries in 3rd. Not too far in front of Da Costa. Behind Kobayashi, Jean-Luc Verne is 7th. And it's the Simtech of Luke Brown in 8th. And we've got the 2 HRTs of Nick Yellerly and Alex Lynn rounding out the top 10. Willpower outside the points in 11th for Leighton House. And it's Nicholas Latifi in 12th. Robin Frines in 13th for Super Aguri. And it's the 2nd Leighton House of Sebastian Buemi in 14th. And Antonio Franco in 15th. In the Onyx. As we ride on board with Jean-Luc Verne, who's already raced for Minardi in the first couple of races in Sepang and Yongam, and was dropped in favour of Nick De Vries. He's showing his qualities here, and he makes a pass on the manner of Kamui Kobayashi, and he's doing to 6th position. So move completed by Verne. Go back to Lopez, carrying on his way, 3.6 seconds clear of Junkendaya. Now Lopez, who has finished on the podium on a total of 9 occasions, including 3 times for Manor in the last 4 rounds, has yet to stand on the top step of the podium. He came very close to doing so in Argentina, made a mistake at turn 1 after coming out of the pits. And now, he's in the race lead by quite some way so far. A long way to go yet, of course. It's looking very, very, very good for Sam Hall at the moment, who is looking to carry on that record of picking up a race win as a team manager in each season of the Grand Prix World Series. Topher Smith also has that record. His first 2 seasons with Super Aguri. And he's picked up 2 wins this season with Pato Ward as the Aeros boss in Dijon, Bourgogne and Hockenheim. A phenomenal start to the race for Lopez. He couldn't have wished of a better one. France is up as well. He's inside the top 10 in the Drivers' Championship, despite only competing in 5 races, I should say. He joined... No, I think it is 4 rounds, actually. So he joined in Hockenheim in place of Kobayashi to begin with, and then took Grosjean's seat from the next round onwards. He's Prince Latifi. Fighting it out with Nick Yellerly, who's just lost the position to Will Power. Yellerly, who was in 9th a few laps ago, beginning to drop back. There's De Vries in 3rd place. As we watch Colton Herter, who's aiming for a strong race for once. I will remind you that the bottom 3 teams will go down at the end of the season. They are occupied by AGS, Midland and 40. They are all in a battle throughout the pack, as we see what looked like an attempted overtake from one of the Midlands. Thankfully they keep going on the circuit. There's O'Ward. Or Young Deo, I should say. O'Ward is out of the race, I should say. He's the only retirement so far. De Vries carrying a race ban over him. And that will spell the end of his title challenge. That was a 40 there. I think that was Marco Wittland trying to get through on the 40 in front. We want to see what actually happened, because he was up the inside, was Wittmann. The move didn't quite come off, and he very nearly ran wide, and the other 40 of Delatraz. Well, Delatraz was in front of Wittmann anyway. Nissani got through on Wittmann as a result. And we can see De Costa getting the move done on De Vries, and it's no contest there. De Costa up to 3rd place for Minardi. And Dixon will want to get through on the Dutchman very, very quickly. Now Manor have a good chance of taking 2nd place in the Teams Championship, given how their cars are performing at the moment. Kobayashi, for your information, is down to 10th place now. He's been really struggling in the opening stages. I'm not sure what's happened to him. Vern is up in 6th place, having a really good race in the cross so far. We await what the pit strategies are going to be for each driver. You can see Wittmann, who is back ahead of... Well, I say he's now back ahead of Nissani, is Wittmann, and Nissani's also been overtaken by the BAR of Sean Galeo. And here is Wittmann going for it on Delatraz on the pit straight. And he is through, but he's allowed Delatraz to pull back on the inside for a moment. And Wittmann is through into 17th position. I want to go after Sebastian Bourdais in the Onyx. Scott Dixon, 17 points clear coming into this round, as it stands with De Costa in 3rd, and Dixon, who would finish 4th because of De Vries' disqualification. The gap will come down by 3 points, which will mean a 14-point margin. De Costa has won the last 3 rounds. First in the Grand Prix World Series. And with Pato O'Ward's retirement from this race, he is now out of championship contention. And with where Will Power is at the moment, he is also out of contention too. So it'll just be between Scott Dixon and Antonio Felix da Costa into the last 2 races. As Galeo locks up in front of the 40. He's in front of Louis Delatraz. Minardi coming into this round, 56 points clear of Syntec. They have a chance to seal the team's championship today. If they were to do that, they would need to be at least 90 points clear of everyone else. basically means outscoring Simtek by 34 and Leighton House by 43. No, that's wrong actually. Just seen an overtake there. Kobayashi is dropping down the order quite a lot actually now. Latifi is through. And Kobayashi is not going anywhere near at the pace of which we are expecting, so he really is struggling with the pace. Going back to what we were saying about Simtek and Minardi. Minardi 56 points clear of Simtek. And our 65 clear of third place, Leighton House. And 66 clear of fourth place, Manor. So they essentially need to be 90 points clear ahead of everyone else in order to wrap up the team's championship today. But as it stands, that's not going to be the case because De Vries is going to be excluded from the race result for taking out Pato Award. Lopez's lead over Jonken Deya is 7.5 seconds. As we watch Vern, was that Wittmann actually? I think that might be... No, it's Froko who's battling it out with Sebastian Buemi. And we see a brilliant overtake from Naoki Yamamoto on Louis Delachaz into the final right-hander before the pit straight. And that's in through into 19th position. Alex Palou, for your information, is back after a one-race ban. He took out... Well, he was responsible for the collision, I think, with Jay Anduravala and for his erratic driving that cost him a place on the grid in Buenos Aires. Kobayashi's down to 13th place. I wonder if he's on a heavier fuel load compared to everyone else. Is the Japanese driver. That could explain his drop in pace. There's no doubt that Lopez is the man to beat so far in this one, but he could be on the lighter fuel load compared to Jonken Deya, De Costa and co. If he is on the lighter fuel load, he'll need to put in some qualifying laps to optimise the strategy. 240s going toe to toe. Delachaz and Nissani. Let's go all the way down to Ollie Berman, who's in the Super Aguri for this round and the next one in San Carlos. While the rest are picking up a 2-race ban for taking out Louis Delachaz and Pato Award in Argentina. There's Lopez in P1. 8.5 seconds clear over Jonken Deya. Unstoppable at the moment is Lopez. What must Sam Hall be thinking so far in this one? I can tell you that Dixon and Vern are closing in on De Vries. Now Prost, who are mathematically still in the relegation fight, but realistically they are expected to stay up now. It looks like 3 from 4 that are going to be in the fight going into Laguna Seca. BAR going into this one 9 points clear over AGS. With Midland another 9 points back, and 40 are on 6 points and haven't scored since the opening race in Malaysia. Now is Jonken Deya in second place ahead of De Vries. Jonken Deya having another good race so far. Looking to end the season strong and put himself out there in the market for a full-time drive next season. is Lopez. Absolutely on form. As we see Alex Palou attempting to make a move on the 40 in front. No harm done there. He had to slow down to avoid the contact. As they head towards turn 1. They're just up the inside, Palou in front of Delatraz. He goes through, no problem. We go back to Lopez. Absolutely dominating this one, like he owns it. And now he's heading for the pits for his first of 2 stops. Got away there for a moment as we saw Felipe Nasr make a lock-up. He's able to continue. So lap 14, Lopez is in. Where will he come back out? He'll probably come out in front of Galeo. And now it looks like Jean-Luc Verne's going to make a move on Scott Dixon. Who will be 3rd place. Jean Cadea also coming in for Arrows. So Jean-Luc Verne at the moment, if you were to count De Vries's disqualification, he will go up into 2nd position. Now Prost haven't picked up a podium finish yet this campaign. Boy, could they do with one. And Baldaig in the pits for Onyx as well. Where did Lopez rejoin? He's currently outside the top 15 on the timing pages. I don't think it'll be too long before he gets back into the top 15. But there is De Vries running in 2nd place on track behind Antonio Felix da Costa. Now Dixon's looking to get back through on Verne on the pit straight. And Dixon is due. So he thinks on the Frenchman. He should outbrake him into turn 1. On the inside is the Kiwi. And that's a change for position. Dixon back through again on the Prost. We've got Power, Lynn and Wittmann all in the pits. And as we see Ollie Behrman making the move on the 40 ahead. Alex Palou heading for pit road in the AGS. And there we see Dixon in 3rd place, going after De Vries. Vitally important he gets in front of him. Just the 1 retirement so far. Pato O'Ward out after colliding with Nick De Vries at turn 1. We see Verne heading for the pits, and behind him is Luke Browning. Galeo holding Lopez up at the moment, but Lopez should get through on Galeo rather easily. Costa in the race lead by 2 seconds over De Vries. It's Dixon. Latifi is now up into 4th place on track in the BAR. We've got Frines 5th, Yellow Kobayashi, Froko, Buemi and Lopez, who's just got through on Galeo. Ollie Behrman coming into the pits. In the Super Aguri. He's been off the pace in this one. As the young Brit who's been taken on as a reserve driver for a Formula 1 team. I think that must be Ferrari, I would have thought. He did some free practice sessions for the Haas team in 2023. We see Yonkandea And to slow the car down there through third to last turn of this track. See if he finds both in the pits now. Signori and Kobayashi up positions, as is Froko and Buemi. Now Di Costa is behind Behrman, who's exited the pits. The two Minardi's are heading into the last turn. As is Dixon. He hasn't been in the running for podiums in the last few races. He had an absolute nightmare of it in Buenos Aires. Di Costa comes in from the race lead, and that hands the position over to his teammate Nick de Vries. He's just got in front of the middle. He's in front of Dixon now. Dixon won't like this one bit. He will have to fight his way through to stay in touch with de Vries in front. Now, is Dixon through ahead of the back marker? We'll find out in a moment. And Di Costa is back out. Well, he's not exited the pits yet, actually. Well, he is exiting the pits now. He's behind Junkendaya. Now, where is Vern in relation to him? Well, Vern is not too far behind him. Vern is also in front of Browning. There is Dixon. Running in second place. Still stuck behind the Midlands, which is Felipe Nasr. Now we see de Vries head for the pits. So Dixon will take over the race lead. Whilst Junkendaya makes his way through past Brian Nissani, or so he thought. Runs wide a little bit, and that's going to allow Di Costa to close back in. Di Costa on the inside of Junkendaya, and that was very nearly ending in tears. This is a genuine fight for position. Both have pitted. Nissani heading for the pits, as is Yamamoto Froko. De Vries hasn't left the pits yet. Di Costa is coming down the pit straight. He's in front of De Vries now. De Vries Di Costa on Vern, but Vern is going to be through ahead of him. So Vern in front of De Vries. And he's up the inside is Vern. It looked like De Vries just cuts across on Vern as he exited the pit lane. Don't think any action will be taken on that. But Di Costa is carrying on his way ahead of the Spaniard Danny Junkendaya. In second place now is Nick Yellerly in the HRT. His teammate Alex Lynn has pitted. Behind Yellerly is the manner of Kobayashi. We expect him to be doing a one stop. Behind Kobayashi is Buemi, who's just in front of Lopez. As we see Bourdais ahead of his teammate Froko. Froko ahead of Bourdais in terms of strategy and pace for once. And we see a slow BAR of Nicholas Latifi, who's going to be the second driver to retire from this race. The Onyx is having to dodge their way round him. But it's the end of the road for the BAR. Good news for AGS Midland and 40. But Nicholas Latifi is out of the League One Curitiba Grand Prix, the second driver to retire. And that's one less car for Will Knight to be focusing on. The team manager of that squad will just be hoping he scrapes through the relegation battle, and will focus on Season 4 to make sure BAR are back fighting for the championships of which they won in Season 1 with Jean-Eric Verne, Sebastian Buemi and Pascal Wehrlein. You see Lopez making his way through past Buemi on the fresh tyres. He's through to 4th place now. Nick Yellerly carrying on his way. He's expected to do a 1-stop, as is Kobayashi. I think Dixon will be as well. Scott Dixon, who hasn't won since Misano. He's won 2 races this season. Seems like he's still in the running for the team's championship as well as the drivers, but they need Minardi to have an absolute mare of it. Well, they sort of have so far with De Vries out of the running for points, with that disqualification hanging over him. Now the Drivers' Championship won't be decided whatever happens here in Curitiba. But if anything happens to Costa, that pretty much spells the end of his hopes in the championship fight. We are seeing a battle towards the back as Delatraz holds up Power, Frines and Lynn. Power on the inside of the 40. And this is going to be a change for position. Power is through, no problem. Now is Frines and Lynn. Well, are Frines and Lynn going to follow suit by getting through on the 40? We saw Lopez in the background closing on Kobayashi. And it's important he gets ahead of the one-stoppers to make the most out of the 2-stop strategy that he is doing. Delatraz is down to 12th place, having a decent one so far. In his second Grand Prix World Series race, his father Jean-Denis Delatraz raced for the team in Season 1. There's Kobayashi, who was in the race lead for the whole of the race until he went off, broke his front wing and needed to come back in for repairs. And Da Costa took the win in Buenos Aires on that day. Ollie Berman has just been lapped by Dixon. Tries to unlap himself from Mercury, but that's not going to work there. So they cross over the line to complete lap number 24. And there is Yellerly. So a promising start to his Grand Prix World Series career as well. Podium finish in Hockenheim to his name. HRT are well and truly safe from relegation. But they want to try and get as many points as possible to put themselves in the running for a place in that non-championship Macau Grand Prix after the season has finished. Your information about the Macau Grand Prix event in terms of which teams can compete. It's the 13 highest scoring teams across the 2 leagues. We see Nick Yellerly once more trying to close in on Dixon. But with Dixon on the one-stop strategy, he has a golden opportunity to win this race now, there's no question. Now we can see the 40 there of what looks like Ryan Nissani making his way through ahead of Alex Palou. And Dixon comes in for his only stop of the race, as is Nick Yellerly. So Kobayashi will go through into the race lead with Lopez in second place on track. where will Yellerly and Dixon come out in relation to the likes of Yunk and Daya and that? I think they'll be behind Yunk and Daya. Dixon's exited the pits now, so he's just behind Yunk and Daya. Further behind, we see Wittmann go for a move on Delachas for 14th. He's ahead of him well and truly, and he's ahead of Yellerly now as well. So he's into 13th position. There's Kobayashi, 3 seconds clear of Lopez, and he's yet to stop in this. And Yellerly wasting no time making his move on Delachas for 14th on track. Wittmann is next up ahead. Who is expected to make a 2-stop strategy. As we ride on board with Scott Dixon going for a move on Yunk and Daya into the last turn, and he cannot do it there. So he's now further back compared to how he would like to be. It looks like he's going to make his move on the pit straight into turn 1. At the inside goes Scott Dixon on Yunk and Daya, and 8th place is his. We go to Sebastian Buemi, who's running in 3rd. He's yet to make a pit stop. Go back to Felipe Nasr, who's up in 24th and last place, behind Ollie Behrman, and they're also in a battle with Colton Herzer. It's unlikely those towards the bottom of the championship are going to be scoring points today. The highest of those that are still running out of the bottom 4 teams, of which their cars are racing, that would be Lou Delachas in 15th. And now we see a spin and a broken front wing from Nick Yellerly. By trying to get through on Marco Wittmann, has dropped it all by himself, and the front wing has gone on that HRT. Further ahead, we see Robin Frines go toe-to-toe with Will Power. And the Super Aguri is going to be up into the points. Dixon is not far behind Luke Browning either. You see Felipe Nasr still tossing it out with Ollie Behrman. Lou Delachas comes in for his only stop in the 40. So and Yellerly rejoin as Lopez goes back into the lead, but he's got the 40 that he's going to be coming up shortly. Kobayashi and Buemi are now in the pits. DaCosta will go up into 2nd place. Lopez getting stuck behind Delachas, which won't help. And that will allow Nick Yellerly to pull alongside and make a move on the 40. Yellerly's race is essentially ruined. No chance of points for him from here now. There's Nick de Vries in 3rd position. As it stands, he'll be excluded from the race result for taking out Pato Award at the start, which would promote Jean-Eric Verne up into the final podium position. He's expected to make a 2nd stop though. Scott Dixon is not. He's expected to go to the end. As we ride on board with the Portuguese Antonio Felix da Costa, looking to close down the gap on Scott Dixon in the Drivers' Championship with 17 points coming into this round. He is, at the moment, if Dixon was to finish 4th, 2 positions behind him, the gap would come down to 11. But DaCosta has still got another stop to make. Dixon, as I've just mentioned a moment ago, is expected to go to the end. But wait a minute, in 15th place. Now moves in front of Bourdais. And swishes through after his stop. He's aiming for a strong finish to the season. As we look at Felipe Nasr. Up the inside of the AGS of Colton Herta, and that's 20th place going in the way of him. And it's points that Midland are after right now, and it doesn't seem like they're going to be scoring here. They've had too many problems all season. So far behind on the development. They are destined for life in League 2 next season. Go back to Nick de Vries, who's running in 3rd position. Lopez, who's in the race lead, has got Nick Yellerly right behind. He'll be on fresher tyres. He wants to try and unlap himself to get back into the action. I doubt that he'll do it here because he's too far back to do it. He might try and do it on the pit straight. Now he's right into the slipstream as we go back to Nick de Vries in 3rd position. In front of Verne. Not by much though. And now we watch Nick Yellerly, who's about to unlap himself from Jose Maria Lopez. Now is this going to be him unlap himself? Well, we go back to Nick de Vries. We cut away from Yellerly. Got Verne and Dixon in the background. Verne, as we expect, is going to stop one more time. Nick Browning and safe header. Daniel Kandea, Robin Fines, Will Power and Marco Wittmann now in the points. Go back on board with Jose Maria Lopez. Just been unlapped by the HRT of Nick Yellerly. We'll just want to let the HRT go and let him run his own race. No point battling with him. There's DaCosta. And we see an engine problem, and it's Nick de Vries. For the 2nd race in a row, he's going to be pulling out with a mechanical issue. And as it stands with that disqualification, he will also be out for the next race in San Carlos. And it spells the end of his title challenge here. It's now going to be between 2 men to be crowned the Grand Prix World Series champion. Verne goes through. Dixon will go through in a moment. And he's holding up Scott Dixon, not in a good way either. The car is on fire. De Vries will need to get off the racetrack very, very shortly. Fines comes into the pits for a pit stop. But it's the end of the road for Nick de Vries and the end of his title hopes. And that hurts Minardi's chances in the Teams Championship. Whatever happens now, they will not win the Teams Championship at this race. They'll have to wait for another round at least to have the chance of sealing it. De Vries retires from the race. And Ollie Berman is also out in the Super Aguri. He'll have another go at it next time out in San Carlos, but it's the end of the day's work for him here in Curitiba. So that's one less headache for Scott Dixon to be worrying about as his Simtech teammate Luke Browning comes into the pits. Kobayashi is through on Wittmann, for your information. Now, Da Costa is behind Lopez on track. They are both expected to stop again. Lopez closing back in on Yellow Lee. As we ride on board with Alex Blow, who's now in 17th position. Or 18th rather, because Fines has just come out of the pits. Now Da Costa securing the noise that his teammate is out with engine problems. He cannot afford any mechanical gremlins. Otherwise, that is pretty much it. It'll be a miracle for him to recover from that in the remaining rounds of San Carlos and Laguna Seca. Looks like we've just seen an overtake there. Is that Wittmann who's just got through on Lynn, I wonder? Well, I think it might have been Will Power, actually. Will Power has got through on Kamui Kobayashi by the looks of it. At least we thought it was. But here is Jean-Eric Verne. Doing a fine job in the Prost. In 3rd place. At the moment is bound to replace Nick de Vries in the Minardi squad for the next race in. San Carlos and Alex Lynn in the HRT is slowing down. What a shame. After the podium he had picked up last time out in Buenos Aires, it's not going to be a repeat of it here. And with his teammate at the back, and I think there's an engine problem for another car further on around the circuit. We'll need to go to that very shortly. We don't know who it is. Alex Lynn retires with suspension problems. Da Costa and Verne are both in the pits, but I'm very sure I saw an engine problem further around the track, and we'll find out what it is in a moment. Dixon through into 2nd place on circuit. At least we know he's not carrying a problem. As we see Robin Fries behind the 40, and he goes for a spin. Now, thankfully, he does not take out another driver. We saw what happened with Jack Aiken in the Lead 2 race when he took out Callum Ilott. And there is the engine problem. It looks like an Arrow's in trouble. It's Danny Juncadella. And that pretty much spells Arrow's slim hopes of the team's championship. And Danny Juncadella joins his teammate on the sidelines. Both Arrow's drivers are now out. It's the team's first double retirement since Istanbul. And Da Costa and Verne have rejoined the race. Lopez is in the race lead. And there is the Midland of Felipe Nasr slowing down. They're dropping out like flies here. Felipe Nasr's torrid season continues, as is Midland's. It's not getting any better for them right now. He cannot get into the pit lane, I don't think. No, he's pulling off as well. And Felipe Nasr retires from the race. I think that's Marco Wittmann's just coming into the pits as well. There's another one gone then. Over the barrier on home turf. Nasr retires from the race. And there's Kobayashi, who is on the one-stop strategy. He's waiting for Lopez to pit in, his teammate. He's expected to make a 2nd stop. And Lopez is now in, as is Colton Herter, who's a lap down on him. So all of these retirements have helped Ryan Nissany go up into the points for 40. A point for 40 would be some consolation from what's been a really wretched season for them. There's Scott Dixon, who's now into the race lead. He's firm favourite to win this one, providing he doesn't suffer the same fate as what happened to Tatiana Calderon in the Lead 2 event earlier on in this round. Kobayashi through ahead of Lopez, has just come out of the pits. If Lopez is going to win this race, he's got to pass both Kobayashi and Dixon. He'll be on the fresher tyres. He won't have a lot of time to do it, as we see an overtake from Marco Wittmann on Robin Freins. Freins is fighting back though. Lopez now 21 seconds behind Dixon with 17 laps to go. Needs to take over a second out on him. Nissani entering the pits for 40. So your race order: Dixon leads, Kobayashi second, it's Lopez, Buemi, DaCosta, Verne, Browning, Freins, Wittmann and Power in the top 10. Now we see Wittmann still fighting it out with Freins, but Wittmann goes for a spin and loses the position to Will Power. Luckily, he doesn't take out another driver. He's lost time there and positions, and he's fallen out of the points. Now he's got Antonio Froco right behind. Oh, and that's Bourdais! It looks like he's had a mechanical problem or something. Or has he come together with someone? He was up the inside of Louis Delatraz, and he's lost it all by himself. Gone off in a big way, and he's taken out the BAR of Sean Galeo. Both of them out on the spot. Galeo will be very, very unhappy with that from Bourdais. Bourdais' ill-considered move on Louis Delatraz had backfired, and it's resulted in the BAR and Onyx retiring. No points for either driver. But I think Bourdais will be hit with a race ban for taking out the BAR. We'll wait for the steward's verdict on what it will be, but I think we should expect the inevitable. And it's a one-race ban for Sebastian Bourdais, so he is out of the next race in San Carlos. And we believe it'll be either Danny Kafia or Kazuki Nakajima filling in for him for that round. It'll be the first race that Sebastian Bourdais have missed this season. Onyx have had a season to forget, but they look very much safe from relegation. Antonio Froco is running in 12th behind Marco Wittmann. Lopez now around about 4 tenths behind Kobayashi. And there he is, look. Now, what does Kobayashi decide to do here? Well, since Lopez is on a different strategy, he'll want to let Lopez through. And Lopez goes for the move on Kobayashi, but they nearly take each other out. That was very nearly close to seeing the pair of them crash out of this race. There's Lopez on the inside. Oh, Kobayashi did very well to leave in space there. Had he turned in on him, that could have been the pair of them on the sidelines, and team manager Sam Holt will be having stern words with them. Lopez into the slipstream now of his teammate, and we should expect an overtake being completed here, but Lopez has lost time battling with his Japanese teammate. And we also see a move from what looked like Ryan Nissani on one of the AGSs. So Lopez through on Kobayashi into second place now. He's got 18 seconds to make up in 14 laps on Scott Dixon. Right on board with Sebastian Buemi. Oh, that's Will Power, sorry, my apologies. He's a bit ahead of Nick Yellerly, who had to make that second pit stop. Now we also see Will Power going for it on Frines for 8th place. And the position is his. Leighton House have had a better time of it in this one compared to previous rounds. Now Scott Dixon on his own. As we see DaCosta go for it on Buemi, but can't quite do it there. And Vern is closing in. Now we go back to Lopez, who is making his way through back markers. DaCosta running in 5th in the Minardi. Pulls out of the slipstream alongside Sebastian Buemi, and 4th position is his. Now if Dixon was to win this race, and DaCosta, who's currently running in P4, Dixon will extend his lead to 30 points and put him within touching distance of wrapping up his second Grand Prix World Series cycle next time out in San Carlos. DaCosta came close to winning the championship last season as well when he was a Super Aguri driver. He won the race on the track, but a 30-second time penalty for causing the collision with Scott Dixon at the start of the League 1 Laguna Seca Grand Prix dropped into 3rd place, and Romain Grosjean took victory, and Dixon finished 2nd, which was more than enough for him to wrap up the cycle that day. Jean-Luc Verne has got past Sebastian Buemi for 5th place. It's been a really strong showing from the Frenchman. Although Buemi is actually going to be fighting back. He feels he has a point to prove. Now the former teammates of when they were BAR drivers, the beginning of Season 2 and Season 1. Buemi gets back through into 5th position. And one driver who's trying to get back into the points is Marco Wittmann, who's right behind Nick Yellerly. There he goes. And the move is more or less complete, I should think. He is through, no problem. And Marco Wittmann back into the points now in 10th. There's Lopez, who will cross over the line. We'll get an updated gap on where he is in comparison to Dixon. It's 17.1. He's not really closing down the gap enough. And Werner's back through on Buemi again. And you see a move there from one of the AGSs. That was Alex Palou on Roy Nassani. That's going to have him to move into 15th place. We've lost so many drivers in this one already. Sebastian Bourdais and Sean Galeo crashing out together. Felipe Nasr also out with mechanical problems, as is Nick de Vries. We've also lost Ollie Behrman, Danny Unkandea, Nicholas Latifi and Patrick Ward. Still got 11 laps to go. A lot can still change. Tense times in the garages at the moment. Most particularly at Simtech and Minardi. Dixon has not had a lot to celebrate in recent rounds. He's coming up to lap Naoki Yamamoto, who's running in 13th, having a strong race for once. No problems from him so far. Fern on the inside of Buemi again. I think this is going to be a slam dunk overtake here. Fern finally through on the Leighton House. And 5th place is his at last. There's Dixon behind Yamamoto still. So Yamamoto staying out of the way of the Simsec. Watch Kobayashi's making his way through on the... And there's a problem for the Super Aguri of Robin Friends. He's allowed Wittmann to go through easily there, and I think Friends is really slowing with the problem. So if he has an issue, that will promote Nick Yellerly back into the points. Yeah, and Friends is slowing with a problem. So both of Michael Gillespie's cars are going to be dropping out. So Robin Friends joins the long list of retirees. Yamamoto goes up into 12th place. Delachaz 13th. Pillow will move up also. There's an electrical problem for the Dutchman. So I believe that makes it 10 retirements in this race. We've got 8 laps to go. Dixon 14 seconds clear of Jose Maria Lopez. It doesn't look like he's going to be troubled too much unless something happens that changes the complexion of this race. There's Lopez, who once again is going to miss out on a race win. He'll add another podium to his name. And they'll move up in the Drivers' Championship. He's only on 54 points, or 56 rather. And his pole position. He picked up a pole position in Argentina. To make that 57. They'll go in front of Alex Lynn, Roman Grosjean. Sebastian Brayman will still be in front of him, but only just. Seven laps remaining then. We're on lap number 48. Doesn't look like Dixon's going to be losing the race win anytime soon. Kobayashi is still in front of DaCosta. And Froco's trying to get through on Nick Yellerly for the final point here, and he may get it, you know. Yellerly's exit wasn't great, and Froco may pick up a precious point for Onyx. Doesn't go for it into turn 1 yet. Dixon, we go back with 6 laps away from victory. The gap is less than 13 seconds between him and Lopez. There is Lasani running in 15th. Battling with Alex Palou. And Lasani up the inside of his rival. This isn't for points by any means, but Nissani is due at last. It's been a good effort also from Naoki Yamamoto to put his middle in 12th, but it's too little too late really. In the grand scheme of things, we know both BAR drivers are out of this one. But even still, AGS, Midland and 40 have a mountain to climb to catch them. Now we're looking at Antonio Froco again, up the inside of Nick Yellerly into turn 1. And that's 10th position for him. And for Ryan Ferris's team, who look to be on course for a point after all. Look at Dixon once more, not having to worry about back markers in this moment in time. Looking ever so comfortable. Whilst Lopez will have to contend with second once again. His 4th second place in the last 5 races. There's a back marker ahead of him, which he'll have to make his way through. That'll be Louis Delachaz, who's running in a respectable 13th. Scott Dixon knows he's going to extend his championship margin. 4 laps left. It's been a comfortable drive. Lopez dominated at the beginning, but it became clear as to why that was the case. Kobayashi, there's DaCosta making his way through back markers. We go back to Kobayashi. Needs to be on course to complete a double podium for Minot. A handsome number of points coming in the way of them. As it stands with Simtek getting the points they're about to achieve. Simtek will stay in second place. We're watching Nick Yellerly get back into the points again by making his way through on Froko, but Froko is still not giving up. Out the inside once more, and Froko is through once again on the HRT. Looks like that battle's going to go right to the end. So you see Lopez down the gap a little bit more, but it's too late now. .7 seconds in sector 1 on that 52. Dixon not having to worry about back markers. There aren't any more which he'll need to navigate through now. Yellerly and Froko are around about another 8 seconds up the road at least. But they are still tossing it out for the last point. Yellerly through on Froko once again, but is Froko going to stay to the inside? He's not this time around. Yellerly is through ahead of the Italian. And it's positioning swapping around all the time. There's Roy Nassan, he's running in 14th ahead of Alex Palou. Does his best to stay on the track. Crossing over the line now, and you can see an overtake, I think. Is that someone trying to lap them? I think that's someone trying to lap Palou, which he's done so now. It might have been Antonio Felix DaCosta, you know. Go back to Lopez, who's absolutely pushing as hard as he can. But Dixon has this one under control. He's about to start the final lap in a moment. As we watch Colton Herter, who is in 16th and last place. He's got Jean-Luc Verne right behind, trying to lap him. Herter thankfully doesn't run into Verne. It's the last lap now for Scott Dixon, as DaCosta makes his way through the back markers again. Isn't too far in front of Verne. There's no way DaCosta is going to be catching Kobayashi for that final podium position. After 3 consecutive victories Da Costa is having to contend with 4th place today. Lopez trying to catch Dixon, but he's too far up the road. And we want to go to the race leader, who's driven a perfect race with a strategy. A long time since we saw him on the top step in Misano. But this win is going to put him within touching distance of winning back-to-back Grand Prix World Series titles and keep Simtek in the hunt for the team's championship. Scott Dixon in the Simtek rounds the sweeping right-hander to win the League One Curitiba Grand Prix. Team manager Scud Woodwis can celebrate once again. We'll go to Jose Maria Lopez is going to come home in 2nd position for the 4th time in 5 races. In fact, I think he's coming to a stop as Lopez, because Kobayashi is through. Lopez has slowed down. He's slowed down as Jose Maria Lopez. The Argentine is out on the last lap. Kobayashi will take 2nd place, and Antonio Felix da Costa will be 3rd. Jean-Luc Verne will be 4th for Prost. Sebastian Buemi, Luke Browning, Will Power, Marco Wittmann, Nick Yelly and Antonio Franco will be in the points, so Jose Maria Lopez is only going to pick up the pole position and fast lap points. Horrible lot there for him and for team manager Sam Holt. And Will Power, by the looks of it, has just come into the pits with a throttle problem. So is Marco Wittmann going to take that position away from Will Power? He is, you know. Marco Wittmann comes home in 7th place. And what about Nick Yellerly and Antonio Franco? They're going to be 8th and 9th. But it's a race win for Scott Dixon and Simtek. They edge nearer to clinching the Drivers' Championship once again. Kamui Kobayashi 2nd, ahead of Antonio Felix da Costa, Jean-Luc Verne in a brilliant 4th place for Prost, Sebastian Buemi in 5th, ahead of Luke Browning, Marco Wittmann, Nick Yellerly, Antonio Franco and Jose Maria Lopez classified in 10th place, so he does get something after all. In 11th place will be Will Power after pitting at the end of the last lap. Naoki Yamamoto is 12th, ahead of Louis Delatraz, Ryan Nissany, Alex Palou and Colton Herter. Robin Fines retired, as did Sean Galeo. Danny Yankandea out with engine problems. Felipe Nasser retiring again in the Midlands with transmission problems. Alex Lynn, Ollie Berman, Nicholas Latifi and Pato Award were the rest of those to not finish. Sebastian Bourdais disqualified after taking out Sean Galeo, and Nick de Vries the same for his part in the incident with Pato Award on lap 1. Jose Maria Lopez got the points for fast lap and for pole position, but 2nd place had disappeared from him. What a shame. In more important matters, as far as the Drivers' Championship is concerned, Scott Dixon's gap over Antonio Felix da Costa has increased by 10 points. The margin is 27. All he needs to do is to outscore his rival in San Carlos, and his 2nd Grand Prix World Series title will be coming his way. We'll have a look on the championship standings right now in League One in the voice of Topher Smith, and I'll see you for the penultimate round in San Carlos, Venezuela.
Has Scott Dixon just put one hand on the Grand Prix World Series Championship trophy for a 2nd season running? That win today could be absolutely crucial as he chases down 2 in a row. And as far as the points are concerned, it is now only between him and Antonio Felix da Costa. 176 points for Dixon, 149 points for da Costa, and the likes of De Vries, O'Ward and Kobayashi are now mathematically out of it. 2 rounds to go, 2 drivers still in it. This is going to be absolutely fascinating for the rest of the season. Will Power still holding on to 6th in the standings on 83 points ahead of his teammate Sebastian Buemi on 78. Roman Grosjean on 60 ahead of Jose Maria Lopez on 59. And Alex Lynn also on 59 in 10th behind Lopez on countback. We will also take a quick look at the teams before we say goodbye. And Minardi are on 268 points with Simtek on 230. Simtek closing that gap a bit to 38 points. And with those 2 rounds left to go, still plenty of points to play for. and it could all change in San Carlos and in Laguna Seca. Manor and Leighton House still also mathematically able to win it. Manor now moving above Leighton House after their podium for Kobayashi today, while Arrows have now dropped out of contention in 5th place. HRT are in 6th on 96 points, Super Guri on 84, Prost on 82, Onyx on 57, BAR on 32, while AGS, Midland and 40 Corsi did not score any points today, and they have 2 rounds left to try and get themselves out of that relegation zone and into the top 10 to stay in League One next season. Well, it has been another fascinating day of action here in the Grand Prix World Series. So many overtakes here on the Curitiba circuit, and it has been great to watch. So much going on. You have to feel sorry for the likes of Calderon and Lopez for having their last lap incidents in both races, but we are set for 2 more rounds of fantastic action here in the Grand Prix World Series. We look forward to broadcasting those 2 rounds for you, but until then, I've been Topher Smith, and I will speak to you next time. Take care.